Gotta love that theme music. Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yep.
Yeah. I may need to talk to the boys about changing up the theme music a little.
Yeah, but that would cost them another $3.80.
You know, any way to get $3.80 out of those guys, I tell you what. Hey there.
That doesn't sound very testing and production. That sounds more like production and production. Go Gadget 360.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that because it is very production-like. So
we try.
We do try. We do try. Happy Friday, sir.
Happy Friday.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Just after this, I got about an hour's worth of work to do, and then I'm taking off for a long weekend.
Excellent. Excellent.
I'm playing some golf with my father.
Woohoo.
Who just turned, I think, is 83 2 days ago. So I drove up to Montreal just to have dinner with him, and then drove back that night. And
nice.
It's supposed to be a nice weekend.
There you go. There you go. I have to admit, I am a bit of a dunce.
What did you do?
My work. So I've got my personal phone, which is an iPhone, but I have a work phone that I keep separate. That is an Android device. For some reason, it ran out of space, and like it's got 128 gigs of RAM or memory.
Yep.
Or storage, I should say. 124 gigs were for system files.
That sounds a little odd.
Yeah. So I hard reset the device, and I forgot to detach my phone authentication from it for work.
Oops.
So now I get to try and recover all this today. Ooh, hi there.
Oops.
Yeah, the AC Cloud Elf. Yes, the phone has been hacked. It's been hacked-ward. Yeah.
So, hey, go Gadget 360. It's because they included Baldur's Gate 3. I've been hearing so much about that game, but I don't know it. Like, have you played this? What kind of game is it?
I have no idea what this game is. All I know is everybody and their brother is like, "Oh my gosh, Baldur's Gate 3 is out." And I'm like, "Yeah, and?"
I'm not I have to admit, I tried to play Diablo so I could play with Joey and Rick and the guys.
Mm-hmm. I love Diablo. Trust me, I absolutely love Diablo. My problem is I'm going through some stuff personally, and I just don't want to be online when I'm done with work. I'll be frank and honest. Go Gadget 360 says it's a Dungeons and Dragons game. Folks are very excited about it. Yes, folks are very, very excited about it.
Yeah, I'm not very good at those types of games, mostly because like I get lost and I end up just running in circles around the map, and I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what the point of the game is. I'm just going around killing some stuff. And
by the way, you've just described COD to me.
I have to admit that for COD, for Call of Duty, Rick and myself and Mr. Bartolo, who is currently, he's probably not watching because he took his kids to Malta for a month.
Yikes.
That's where he's from, so he wanted his kids to see the old country.
No, that's actually really cool. That's super cool.
But we're mostly playing DMZ now because it's like there's a mission. There's a thing to do. It's not just run around and loot and kill people.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool too, but there's a mission, there's a strategy. So we've been playing that and we're very and the nice thing is you get to another team, what are you laughing at me?
Feel snobble. quoted me. I love Diablo. I suppose there's somebody for everybody, but I prefer my soulmates to be more loving. Diablo is not a very loving soulmate. That is true.
As I said, I don't know. And I the games I play is typically I can't afford to spend gazillion hours like ramping up my character so I can do that one thing. It's more of a log on, play for 20 minutes, an hour, and then log off, and then I may not touch it for another couple of weeks, and then when I get back to it, it's the same. Like log on, do a few
Yep.
things, and then log off.
Well, and that's one of the problems. Like I experience with Diablo because we have folks like Joey who will sit there and just play it for days and days and days and level up his character. And I come in and I'm like level 1, and he's like 100. And
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Well, just follow me, and you can just clean up stuff." And yeah, I mean, I can level my character, but I'm not having fun.
Well, it was like the same thing when we were doing this with the Call of Duty with Joey, where we would find the loot and just mark the gun and say, "Joey, there's a good gun here. Come and get it."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, why don't we've had a lot of folks chiming into the chat room. Why don't we go ahead and say hi to everybody? Of course, Vizio MVP welcomed us to August early on, so thank you, John. Aspen Forrester. We've also got GoGo Gadget 360, Fair Brit, Hola, ¿Cómo estás? Fuel Snobble. We also have Mr. Mosby.
Mr.
Hello.
Mosby. Is that from like How I Met Your Mother? Ted Mosby? Is the first name Ted?
I don't know. Welcome. And of course, we have Janiscu that wants us to be testing in network at production. If we were testing in network at production, Janiscu, we would try and fix Joey's patch.
Well, let's talk about
headroom.
this because it has been some testing in production during the patch and switch show.
GoGo Gadget 360 said, "How I Met Your Twitch stream."
Yeah.
Nice.
So
nice.
Which one of us is Barney then?
Not me. I'm Marshall for sure.
Does that make Rick Lilly?
No, Robin. Of course. Oh gosh. Yeah, time to stream up according to GoGo Gadget 360.
Yep.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Joey's
let's talk Joey's
well,
stream.
All, the first time he started doing the Max Headroom thing, and for the younger generation in our chat, if there are any, Max Headroom is a characters in the 80s. That's basically somebody's consciousness that was put into a computer, and he became Max Headroom. So look it up, Google it, Bing it. It was really cool. I loved you used to love watching that show.
Yes, yes, as did I.
But yeah, so when he started doing the Max Headroom thing, I went online and noticed that Cox Network or Cox ISP, whatever they're called, they had a fire in one of their data centers / distribution center. And that affected a lot of people around Vegas. So we thought the first week that was it.
Yeah.
I worked with the people at StreamYard. We opened a ticket, and I got some logs dumped. And it turned out that all of us on that stream were dropping packets or dropping frames.
I wouldn't necessarily say I was dropping them. I was throwing them to the ground.
Oh, okay. But according to their logs, we were all kind of dropping frames, but not enough to actually affect the visuals. He was the only one where it would actually drop enough frame that his output would just kind of freeze, and you can still hear the voice in the background.
His voice was perfect. So for those that were do listen on audio, you're like, what the heck? Nothing was wrong to me. So
Anyway, so we find out we like, yeah, and I did some troubleshooting with him. I know you did some troubleshooting with him. We eliminated his inner network because his network at home is brand new and it's fast. It's like, I think his desktop is at 2.5 gigabits connected to the switch.
yes, he's getting the full bandwidth there.
Yeah, and he's got symmetric 1 gig up and down from the ISP. So it's something with like past his demarcation point where he was getting like 40 millisecond latency, and that was affecting it. Oh, Mr. Claus is on, so patch headroom.
So boy, I you know, these two.
Rick is actually blaming Pebcac.
Yes, I see that. I am not going to get in the middle of that sort of fight.
I think he's getting a little bit more brave now that Joey is not driving distance from him.
Exactly. What he doesn't know is I have a contract with Joey to be the local representative for him in case of situations like that.
Oh, okay.
So
anyway, so yeah, we did test it. We couldn't figure it out. We know at some point that is a latency issue within the Cox network. But other than that,
I so want to say something right there, but you know, I'm trying to refrain. This is a family, you know, we are PG. We are PG. We're not R, but
we're RPG role playing games.
Yep. So rocket propelled grenades. That's what we fire into the network.
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I had never heard of that ISP until he said, "Oh, I'm with Cox." Is that a big ISP in the US?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Obviously not for streamers.
Well, actually it is in certain areas. It's like, so it's the standard problem you have in the US where they're a cable company. They're a classic cable company, just like Charter / Spectrum, Comcast, Xfinity, you name it. You know, Cox was one of the bigger ones. And they are notorious, you know, all of them are notorious for bad, you know, routing. Back when I was on Xfinity, I used to have a whole bunch of routing issues, and I would contact their NOC. I eventually got like a direct email to their NOC, and it was like, guys, here's my trace routes. What the hell? Okay, we'll fix it. Oh, hey, my light went out.
Noticed.
Yes. So, but
yeah, in Canada, we have the big three, which are Roger, Bell, Telus.
Yeah, but Bell Telus is not a real cable company. They're the old phone company.
They're the old phone companies, but they've all kind of like gotten into television as well. So they are.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying they aren't into the television stuff, but
and there are a bunch of regional. That was like you're getting ready to do a horror story around the fireplace with the flashlight under your chin. Anyway, so for us. And then the regional providers are all basically just reselling from the big three because they don't own the last mile of cable.
Right. Nope. That sounds familiar. It does.
Yeah. So. And in Canada, really, there's only the last time I checked, there's only one company that actually owns fiber coast to coast.
By the way, here's a little
Gorilla Pod there.
Yep, with the backup light. Set it up on the desk here. We should be. There we go.
You know, you got to figure out a way to like automate these on some kind of like Stream Deck automation.
There is no automation because that's why they were so inexpensive. There's no Bluetooth, no nothing. There's this great automation called a switch.
Oh, they don't have like a US. You can't switch them on with a USB powered.
I could charge. The cool thing, though, I will say it. This. By the way, these lights were incredible purchase. I was able to get them, and they came also with this kit. I think we talked about it a while back, of like accessories and stuff. And like I can actually throw this on because that light is pretty harsh. There we go. I have a softener.
Good.
If I wanted to, I could put on.
Oh yeah, that's to make like a light beam.
Yep, to make it a direct beam. So, but they are USB-C chargeable. And that one probably is just dead. That's why it went out.
Probably.
I need to charge it. Yeah, I need to charge it. But anywho.
Probably. Anywho.
Yeah, Cox is still big. They have a deal with Comcast and shared regions. Yeah, they do. This is one area you don't want to start with me on discussions because when I was at my old condominium in Bellevue, the only broadband provider in the city of Bellevue allowed was Comcast.
Allowed? They
had a exclusive right on the poles. So no one else could get the poles unless it was for commercial. But like when I was in my condominium complex, they wouldn't allow any other broadband provider. And we had a fiber provider that wanted to bring fiber into the complex. They're like, no, we're going to stay with Comcast. Well, I found out later why, because the members of the HOA got Comcast for free. That's how Comcast bought them off. Yeah. But, Rickster is saying his wife likes to mess with my Elgato Air lights, making, I bet it makes for one heck of a wake-up call. There, Mr. Claus. So, but I'm back home. I'm back in the apartment.
Not in the RV. When are you leaving this winter? Going south?
I don't know if I'm going to be. No. I have a lease in my apartment until April, so I'm not going to be going anywhere till April. Okay. I'm not going to be going anywhere for the time being, unfortunately, as I had engine problems.
Oh, again?
Yeah. So I have to take the RV in. Jayhawk needs a little bit of love. When I was driving home, all of a sudden I got this. It started sounding like a lawnmower engine.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, yeah. Called around trying to find a shop to take it to. No one was available. No one could do, half of them couldn't take RVs. The other half that could were like 4 weeks out. So I called the guys at Everything RV, hashtag not sponsored, hashtag semi-ad, because they did such a good job with the RV, and asked them for a recommendation of a shop. And he said, actually, there's a great place in Monroe, Washington, that does fleet vehicles. And since an RV is basically a fleet vehicle at its base, I called them up and said, here's what's going on. What do you think it is? And the guy's like, well, there's a lot of things it could be. I don't want to say over the phone. I'm like, oh, that's fine. I said, I was 3.5 miles from their shop. I said, do you think I'm okay driving it 3.5 miles to your shop so you can listen to it? I know you can't take it today, but to listen to it. And he goes, I think you're fine. Go ahead and try. I'm like, all right, cool. So I drove the 3.5 miles. It just didn't sound good, but I was down a little bit of power, and I have one of those ODB2 connectors now.
Yeah. And
when I ran the self-test on it for all things, I was misfiring on one cylinder again. And of course I'm going, catalytic converter, blah, blah. I get to their shop, I rerun the test, and it's still only the one cylinder. Okay. Go in, the guys at Kenny, again, hashtag not sponsored, hashtag sorta ad, Kenny Auto there in Monroe. And he said he'd come out and listen to it. I'm like, hey, I'm the guy that called. He goes, all right, we'll come out and take a listen. He and one of his mechanics came out and listened. I turned it over and they both kind of looked at each other and kind of chuckled. I'm like, and he goes, you probably lost a, uh, uh, you probably lost a spark plug. I'm like, I what? He goes, actually,
Yeah.
it's common with fleet vehicles, especially with the V10 engines from Ford. You could blow out a spark plug.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I was about to say if it's a kind of like a lawnmower sound, typically is like a spark plug. Eventually, it kind of like unscrews itself and it pops out.
yep, that's
So
it.
you
That's what
get
they said.
basically.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, I got a slot next week where they're going to take it in, and he said we'll take it in and we'll make sure that the threads are clean and good, and we'll order in we have spark plug specifically for it in a boot, and we'll inspect the rest. I'm like, perfect. And then because my the guys at Everything RV, and I said, hey, they recommended you guys. I have like 4 other maintenance items. You willing to do those? And he goes, heck yeah. What do you want done? And blah, 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 blah. So now I'm getting the RV's completely getting its annual maintenance. And so in essence, it's a good win. But, but yeah, I'm just like, you know,
Actually, in our production meeting, because this
yes,
show has such a thing,
yes,
we don't just half-ass it like the other two guys.
yeah,
But Rick is on the chat, so I think it's a good thing because the topic we wanted to talk about today was hybrid presentation.
yes, we did want to chat about that.
Does this mean you don't need to be in your RV to drop off Uber on Thursday?
I will chat with you, Rick, about that because I have to drop off the RV Thursday night so they can work it on a Friday. However, I have another. Yes, that is a lot of there. In Aspen Forester, there is a lot of entries for that. I have someone else that I'm supposed to have dinner with, so we're trying to organize that so that she can. One of my good friends, Melanie Gass, aka the Microsoft Princess. She has her own podcast, or used to have her own podcast for small businesses. Anyways, she's gonna potentially come out and pick me up, and then we're gonna go to dinner. So,
yep.
I think I've got the ride figured out. But
okay, so we need audience participation for this next topic.
Yes, we do.
Rick and Oren Thomas did a keynote at Tech Mentor HQ 2023 2 weeks ago, where 2 people doing the keynote, and the topic is kind of irrelevant, but in their case, it was how to position yourself in the second half of your IT career. Where they would basically have a discussion between the 2 of them and interject and so on. But Rick in person in front of the room, and Oren in Australia coming in through Teams.
Okay. Interesting.
We think I was in the back of the room for most of it, or until the product team called me and said, hey, the bug we've been working on, I need you to test it. So I had to leave. But I thought it went well, and I thought it was a good use or a good approach to it.
Right.
Now, you people in the chat, like, pipe up and say whether or not this is something you would appreciate. If you do, what do you think the minimum bar should be? Everything else, like what are your thoughts on having those kind of hybrid? The only thing we didn't have, and I think it would have been really cool to see if we could do this, is to have the complete hybrid where one person's remote, one person's in person. in a room, but also streamed at the same time. So that would be like the trifecta.
That would be the trifecta. Um, I know we've been trying to get Ryan back on the show ever since that failed attempt. That's what he and several folks in the Office 365 community have been doing a lot of lately. Is a lot of these hybrid events where it's streamed and local, and they can bring in remote presenters and have local presenters, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, because I think the pandemic forced that tipping point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rick was saying in the chat that it was based on Teams. So we were using Teams because Teams is smart enough that it won't pick up the room audio and feedback it. What's wrong? What's with that face?
It's a I've had a week with Teams.
Are you like me on the dog food?
No. I specifically went off dog food to try and stabilize things, and it's still not helping.
Yeah, no, I'm still on dog food, and the last update was a few days ago. Is actually it's pretty stable.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I still don't have, they still don't expose the API for the local client, so that my Stream Deck add-on for Teams doesn't work.
Yep.
But anyway, so that Rick was doing it, so he was the one flipping back and forth, so he was controlling. I think now that I've seen what it does, I think it would have been better if somebody else was at the front of the room, like in the audience, doing the flipping, and not have Rick having to run back to the podium to switch the screen. But lessons learned.
Yep, exactly.
Have a producer in there for $1.380.
Hey, I'm not available.
Well, it's the going rate, isn't it?
I don't know what I get paid. I have no control over that payment. It seems like I should go on strike. I should go on strike with the writers and the actors. The audio engineer union.
Yeah, you by yourself in front of your house with the picket line?
I could go picket in front of Rick's house.
Okay. If you do that, you got to set up your camera in your car across the street and stream that.
On the Patch and Switch channel.
And Rick says he also couldn't tell if Oren was flipping him off.
Or mocking me on camera, of course, because that was hidden.
Yeah, because he was in the room looking at the audience and the screen was behind him.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to do this in a professional manner, a producer to make the switch and a comfort monitor in the front so that Rick can see.
Yeah.
And a camera pointed at the audience. So that Oren can see.
And that's a significant infrastructure, but that's one of the points is we could be able to this is I think what Ryan and them are trying to figure out with their portable rig, and they had I've talked with them about it. They basically have like an OtterBox, or one of the cases, Pelican case. Yeah. And I think they've actually gone with Nooks now. So they have a Nook, which is running everything. And then they have all the wires and cameras and everything so that they can do exactly that. A camera on the speaker, a camera on the audience. And then they could bring in virtual speakers too. And then that's connected to a presentation monitor. I don't know about the confidence monitor, but that's actually good. Like I said, we should bring them on sometime soon.
Well, that's after the event, I started thinking about that. And Rick and I, a while back, after the last Ignite, when we were kind of evaluating how our hybrid presentation for the breakout rooms went, we started to think about, is there a way we could have a mobile rig
Mm-hmm.
that we could set up a camera that looks at the audience, and a camera that's close, because if you've seen the last Ignite recordings, the
Mm-hmm.
camera is at the very back of the room that sits like 300 people,
Mm-hmm.
and there's one of those like narrow and long rooms.
Right.
So the camera from the back is catching both, like the podium. It's getting the podium, and then online you get the slide and then the podium.
Right.
But it's almost
Right.
like at that point, it's almost like stick figures at the front.
Yeah.
You can't really tell like facial expression or
But would this
stuff.
be where that new camera, that the cameras like you and Rick got, which have the PTZ and the Rick's has the follow? Would that be
Yes,
helpful in
and
this
that's
case?
why I got the Insta 360 and Rick got the Osmo the Osbot, the
Mm-hmm.
Osbot 360 or whatever it's called. And that's
Okay.
also why he got the ATEM Mini, because the ATEM Mini, you can have all of the frames and the lower thirds. You can have all that uh, on like a memory card. You put it in, and you can program them, so you don't actually have to have a PC with it.
Mm-hmm.
You you can't have a PC if you're running if you have some kind of like a streaming software that you want to use, but you can tell
Like OBS
all
or
of the
something.
cameras and everything on the ATEM Mini.
Gotcha.
Um, so I'd love to be able to do this at maybe whatever next conference we have. And for me, the only one I've got scheduled right now is going to be Ignite in November.
Mm.
So luckily, maybe Rick can pull some strings and have some kind of experience. I'm sure he will update us whenever he has more details
Yes.
that he's allowed to share. But anyway, is that something that's interesting to the audience?
To
Is
the
that
audience,
something
that's a
we
good
should
question.
try next time we're on the road? Like do one of those podcasts, but with one of these, with a room that's got some people in it and the rest online.
Yeah, it's a really good, and I know we should also probably bring in a friend of the show, Richard Campbell, because I know he does some things with dev intersections around that.
Yep.
So, and they were one of the first to go hybrid, and
Okay.
right after things slowed down in the pandemic, they did a in person, but they also wanted to provide a virtual experience both for speakers and for attendees. So that might be we might reach out to Mr. Richard Campbell. I know he's a little busy these days with the move that he's in the middle of. So
Everybody's moving.
everybody's moving. He's moving out to his coastal house and out of Coquitlam. He sold
Yeah.
a house in Coquitlam. So
And
yeah.
Joey is now going to be unboxing for the next year, and Venetius is in a middle place where the stuff's already gone to San Diego, but he's kind of like squatting at somebody else's house for now.
Yep.
It's cool. All right. So what do we have in terms? How do you get the two-way feedback with the local camera recording the stream setup? That's a good question. That Mr. Claus just
See, that's
kinda
where
popped in.
I think the producer, the in-room producer, would have to be the representative for questions from online. Either allowing the people to speak in whatever software they're using, or taking typewritten questions and posing them to the speaker.
Yeah, well, that works for a podcast, and that works for like a technical session where the questions are allowed. It doesn't really work for a keynote where
No,
it's more of a one way.
that's not specifically for a keynote. I'm thinking more of a breakout session.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
user group kind of deal.
Yep. But
No, we need to try
a
that.
keynote is just going to be like a webinar. It's just going to be, here's the stuff. I've never seen a keynote where there's Q&A.
Well, there was
Unless-
some Q&A at the end of Rick's keynote, but very little.
Mhm.
It's
And
like a
that's
few people
normally
kinda,
very,
like, mentioned.
very planned Q&A also.
Yeah, with plants in the room.
Yes.
Well, maybe,
So-
maybe we organize whoever's running user groups out there. If you want us to be
We could-
part of your user group and give a talk or try some hybrid stuff, we're good to go.
Yep. We could bring in, of course, friend of the show, Johnny Chips.
Oh yeah, that's right. I haven't talked to Johnny in a while.
We could also see if Sarah Lean might have some availability. She helps run the. I think it's is it the Glasgow or the
Glasgow.
Edinburgh?
Glasgow.
User group. There's some.
Yep.
Like I said, we could bring in Ryan, who helps a lot with SharePoint events and Office 365 events.
Mhm.
We've got a little base to work from.
As long as I don't have to do like Oren and get up at 3:00 in the morning. I am not a morning person. You don't want to see me grumpy. If you think this is grumpy now, you should see me when.
You're not much of an afternoon person either.
No, I'm not much of a person.
Yeah, no, you're a bot. You're a complete bot. By the way, folks, this is totally Chat GPT here.
Yeah. What else? Yeah, the two-way feedback has always been something that's been a bit of a challenge. Because you want to get if you're the remote presenter, you want to get the reaction of the room. But if you are the presenter in person, you'd like to be able to get the reaction of the audience that you can't see.
Mm-hmm. True enough. And that's
But there's
always
a scale limit to that. So if you have a Teams call, you could have like that together view if you want. But if it's Ignite and you got 100,000 people online, there's a point where all you see is dots on the screen, and there's.
Yep. By the way, I'm just checking. Speaking of testing and production, can you hear the groundskeeping crew with their blowers in the background?
I can't hear anything. No, it's fine.
Good. I've properly set up my microphone.
Well, it's good that you now have that microphone again, because the weeks where you were using your laptop microphone,
the hockey puck, yeah, not the laptop. It was the hockey puck.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
I understand.
Actually, I was very tempted while I was on campus to pick up one of those Teams puck there, the audio interface that does it's a speaker, it's a microphone, it's the all-in-one. But I've got so many of those like pucks or from Plantronics, from others here, that are all piling dust somewhere.
Yep, exactly. I think this is an older one that I've had for a while. Yeah, it's a Sennheiser S10 that I've had for a long time. Works great, except it's not the highest quality, but it works great in a pinch.
Yeah, I think I have the Plantronics version of that.
Yep, yeah. And I think I got that as part of a program with not Teams, OCS back in the day. Office Communication Server. Everybody remember that little piece of history?
I think I have 3 or 4 of the Teams enabled IP phones.
Uh-huh.
That are on the shelves on the other side that I'm probably going to throw out at some point.
Yeah, I had some of the old OCS phones, like the physical phone that you could plug into a network.
Yeah, that's what those are. That's what those are. But I can't remember the last time I actually picked up a phone.
I don't have a phone anymore. My sister and brother-in-law stopped their house service because the kids are old enough that they are like, yeah, everyone's got a cell phone in the house. So, There's
I
not many
still have
people
a
I know with it.
landline. I still, well, it's a landline. It's voice over IP line
Mm-hmm.
that was a landline. I converted. All
Mm-hmm.
there is on it is a voicemail message that says this line is no longer in use. Please call us on our cell phone. But we
Yep.
don't actually give out the cell
The
phone number.
numbers. Yep, exactly. That's what for a while. That's what my sister and brother-in-law did on their line. They did the same thing. I don't. Oh, by the way, I don't know if anyone else is going through this lately. I have a Google Voice number that I use. That's what I give to services that I'm like, I feel kind of sketchy at, and I have to give them a phone number. I swear one of my services must have gotten hacked because I am getting spam call. I get 10 spam calls a day at my Google Voice number.
I've been looking at that the Google Fi.
And
I
don't like I've told people I don't like giving Google hardly any information. I don't want to run any of my bandwidth through them, either cellular or otherwise. T-Mobile's been great for me.
This is the world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yes,
I was looking at an app on a site online called Rocket Money.
Yeah, that's
supposed to scan your banking information and your credit card and detect all of the subscriptions that you've forgotten that you have, where you can it lists all your subscription. You can say, okay, cancel that one, cancel that one, cancel that one, and it goes out and cancels it for you.
Yep.
Up to the point where it started asking me for credentials to get into my banking information, and I went, no thanks. I really want to do this.
Yeah, no thanks. And I know a lot of the services, people have like one login that they use a lot of places, and I don't do that. I actually have a domain that I forward, and I say like the front part of the address is, for example, Netflix at that domain. And I can I can tell if either my information's been sold by that company or they've been hacked, because I'll start getting spam at those addresses.
Yeah, I use that trick that works in Hotmail, Outlook, Gmail, which is basically P Roman plus.
Yep.
And then I put like the name of the sweepstake I registered for, or the website that I've logged in with. Yep. And then at roman.ca. So then I could do, if that name is in there, you know you can filter it that way. So you always know if you start getting spam, because it's like Pierre plus bell.ca. Yep. They're like, Bell has been selling my email address.
I actually caught companies selling. I also caught a couple of companies that had major hacks, and I'm like, hey, I'm all of a sudden getting all this spam or, whatever. And then like a day and a half later, it's like, yes, we've been, we were hacked and information's been stolen, blah, blah. But that's one reason why I use a password manager. All my passwords are different and all my usernames are different. So
my daughters keep calling me every once in a while to say, hey, what's the password for Netflix, or what's the password for Disney Plus? And I have to tell them, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? So I go to my password manager, and I've got that's 24, 32 character alphanumeric, hard to guess password. And I'm like, okay, are you ready? Yeah. So it's star dash 3. And then we get 20, and they're like, wait, back up 3.
Yeah. I had the latest updates to my Xboxes log you out. So I had to re-log in, and my password for my primary MSA account, my primary Microsoft account, is 50 characters long. And I'm sitting there, and I didn't even have my controller with me. I had the Xbox Media Remote. Thank God they now have login via phone or login via other device. And I'm like, oh, thank goodness. Yeah, exactly. It's very annoying when a media service doesn't have the active on another device. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
Rick, I did create a shared password vault for my family and daughters. I have did send them the invite. Neither of them have actually activated the service on their phone because they say they think they don't need that. Actually,
right.
Kelsey
My
now
oh,
knows that she needs it because her Uber account has been compromised and somebody has bought a lot of Uber Eats from her
wonderful.
account.
Wonderful. Hey, speaking of which, what are you using? I mean, as a manager, I'm using 1Password.
So am I.
Yeah. I was using LastPass at one point,
So
but
was I.
yeah,
And
I left
until
them
it
pretty
got
quickly.
bought by the company it got bought.
I left them after their whole botch thing about the person who lost a
The master
dev.
key.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the dev ops person that yeah, I got
So I need
compromised.
to do some end user training and security awareness for my whole family.
Yeah. Blog and
No.
Lootly is using Keeper. That's a new one I hadn't heard of. That's cool. Anyone else using something other than those? And I'm going to assume there's a lot of ex LastPass users on here.
Yeah.
I will say this though, for my for certain passwords, and I would really love to try and figure out a better way to do it. I would actually like to use my an Azure Key Vault. Mr. Mosby, you went to Bitdefender. Janiscu is using YubiKey. That's interesting. Are you using the randomized YubiKey system, or are you using where the YubiKey enters like a huge address or a huge password? I know you can do either way, where it's like an auto keyboard for you, or it uses the certificate system and then figures that out. I've heard of Bitdefender, Mr. Mosby. That's another good one. I mean, folks, the problem that I've run into with trying to get my sister and for the longest time my mom on this was just, it's so difficult. No, it isn't. Not with the extensions nowadays.
A buddy of mine just turned me up on that, and he's using Safe in Cloud, which is basically a client that sits on all your device. You encrypt the database yourself, but you keep it in your own cloud storage.
Got it.
So
So
there's
it
no
would be
back
like in OneDrive or something, or
in
iCloud or whatever.
OneDrive, in Google Drive, in Apple Cloud,
iCloud.
iCloud, or whatever it's called. And he loves it and he swears by it.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of take away the opportunity for your service provider or the people that own the app to actually they don't actually have access to the database that you have. You keep your own database either locally or on your cloud drive. So I've been thinking about kind of looking at that, but every time I look at it, I go, oh, I should really get that and take a look at it. And then I realize that I've just renewed my subscription for another year. So I've already paid for it. So
Got it. Janice Q says some password managers support hardware keys. Yes, a lot of them do. I know I've been looking at a lot of things I have for work, actually. I have a YubiKey for certain accounts. And I love it.
I had one for my own machines and I lost it.
Yep.
Because if it's physical, I will lose it.
I'm not even going to go there that I lost mine or thought I lost mine after the RV trip and then found it connected to my badge in my safe.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I've kind of avoided the YubiKey, because it's something physical that is going to go somewhere in my office and then I'll never see it again.
Yeah, I have mine on my key ring normally, but I had attached it somehow to my badge. And then I put the badge in the safe when I was leaving. Yeah, having a backup key. I know I follow Shannon Morse, who talks a lot about security. She works a lot with the Hack 5 guys. and she has YubiKeys, and she actually talks that she has one that's on her, one that's a backup at her home, and one that's a backup at her parents' home. So she's got 3, which is smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like Rick. Rick had just posted like something physical and me don't just seem to work or last.
Rick breaks everything. It's okay. Yeah. Shocker. Rick breaks stuff.
Okay. But if we're talking about password protection, I've like I said, I've been staying away from YubiKey because I lose them. So I've been trying to do 2-factor authentication, but I'm trying to get away from the SMS because that can be spoofed. So I go to like an authenticator software. Yep. But something I've noticed lately is in the middle of the night, and while I'm nowhere near a computer, like I'll be driving to Montreal to go see my dad or something. All of a sudden I get a notification that's for authentication. Like, is this you? Do you authorize? And I go like, oh, no. But our software for authenticator, the authenticator software for Microsoft for mobile, doesn't actually keep any logs. I'd love to be able to go back and say, I've got 3 of those in the last 2 days while I was on vacation. Where did they come from and which application was it? Like, what were they trying to access? There's no logs to that. Once you say no, that information's gone.
Got it. That's good feedback. We should provide that feedback. That'd be good.
Because now I can say, okay, if it's trying to access my email, do I need to cycle my password?
Exactly. Nope. Totally understand that. Totally understand that. Speaking of which, I need to get all that set up on my phone again. Yikes.
Yeah, so that's going to be what you're going to be doing for the rest of the afternoon?
No, actually, what I'm going to be doing is creating a dashboard for my LT.
Oh, yeah, management does love dashboards.
Well, it's for Scott Guthrie. So, Mr. Redshirt, I hope you enjoy the lovely dashboard I'm building you.
Lots of pictures, graphics,
lots of graphics. No, it does not move. In fact, it provides good data. That's what it provides at a glance.
So Absolutely says that uses Keeper. There's one in his car with NFC for his phone that it goes with him everywhere. See, I hate having anything in my pocket. So my keys are in a hook in the garage. If I'm not driving my car, I don't have my keys.
Yeah, see, my keys are hanging. I have a wall hanger thing by the stairs down to my front door, since I'm in a townhouse.
I'm actually building a Faraday cage. I've got some copper chicken wire in the garage. I'm gonna build and I got an old mailbox. That the lid is big enough that once it's open, I can put hooks inside and put the keys in.
Okay.
Because in Ottawa, the problem right now is they're stealing a lot of cars because all the cars have push to start.
Yeah.
So somebody goes in front of the garage door, in front of the front door they hold up this like big antenna.
Yeah.
And then they read the fob signal.
Yep.
Unlock the car to get in it. They start it and they leave.
Yep.
So I want to make a Faraday cage at the entrance of the garage so that when you come into the house, lift the lid, put it in, close it. It'll be plugged into 12 volts so that there's always a current going through it, but nothing to shock people with.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll record when I build it and we can try to see if it works.
Yeah. I think what Absolutely is talking about with the figure for apps and locations, conditional access.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, Rick, it's him taking the tinfoil to a new level. It's not me.
Hey, you are not paranoid if they are really out to get you.
I think on that note, we should wrap things up and say thanks to everyone that showed up for the show today. Of course, we have the boss man, Rickster CDN, that showed up. Absablog and Lootly, Janice Q7, Mr. Mosby. We also have just going through our list here, Aspen Forrester, who showed up. Vizio MVP. Thank you, John, for showing up as usual. And Fair Brit, I know she was here for a little while. AZ Cloud Elf, and the GoGo Gadget 360. I get a little twitch every time I see GoGo Gadget 360 because we have the S360 system internally that sends lots of emails for you to go do action items. So,
yeah, I don't get a twitch. I get this little cold sweat.
And just looking through the list, we have, I know one of the folks that's always around, but I haven't seen them talk lately, Kata. Kata.
Ooh,
Kind of like
is
Lugwar.
is that a real person or is that a bot? If you
That's
are a real
probably a bot.
person, say something right now.
And everyone else, we'd call out your names if you actually talked in the channel. Frankly, I think anyone who joins and doesn't say at least hi is a bot, and we don't mind the bots showing up.
We will go with that assumption. We will go with that assumption until proven wrong.
Until proven wrong. And the I think the biggest bot on the list is Rigster CDN, but that's just
he's not a bot, he's a boss.
Oh, that's the difference.
That's the difference.
Okay.
A couple letters.
Got it. Well, I appreciate the time as usual, sir. We would love to hit us up on Twitter at Tech In Podcast. We're also trying to get. I think I'm going to use my next invite code to.
It's not Twitter anymore.
Screw you. Screw Elon Musk. It's Twitter. We'll attempt to get it onto the Blue Skies, and we might even take a look at a Mastodon account just for funsies. What the hell?
I've got all of those, and I don't use any of them really.
Yeah, no, I you know what one I use the most, frankly?
LinkedIn.
No. Instagram. And I'm not talking the new BS that they put out. I'm talking Instagram, just because I do a lot of pictures. I have friends that take a lot of pictures.
I find that the engagement is higher on LinkedIn.
Okay.
You don't get the numbers, but you get the quality in terms of the engagement.
Should we start advertising, testing, and production over there? We probably should.
Should we start broadcasting on LinkedIn Live?
Just saying. Something to think about.
So Rickster may be a bot because creates and sends meeting requests randomly.
Nice. And Vizio MVP calls him the boss bot. Yep.
The boss bot.
Aren't the boss bots the toughest ones to bring down at the end of levels?
Yeah, it's the boss level.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. We got hey, just asking, anything going on with your old show? Are you guys coming up with something new there?
No, we've kind of that's kind of gone away. I know Anthony has kind of repurposed the Twitter handle for some of the stuff that he's working with.
Okay.
Bender and I started one called Wired for Hybrid, which is specifically, it's kind of like AZ Update, but it's monthly, and it's basically what's new in Azure networking.
Yeah.
We were as much fun as it was to do. It was a lot of work.
A lot of prep work, but it was also, we had a good following in terms of the people that joined pretty much every week. Yeah.
but the last year we looked at the numbers and we were like streaming to 4 or 5 people,
Mhm.
maybe like close to 10 if it was like if the stars aligned and everything. So we started kind of like putting efforts elsewhere.
Okay.
Try to do more content that is like long form and specific. Say, so if we had like 3 different updates that week, that
Mhm.
now we kind of look at those updates and see if we can't build more in-depth content with them.
Sounds good. All right. I just wondered what was happening. Just wanted to ask.
We evolved, and then it's one of those. My old boss and Rick's boss as well, Ryan in Canada, used to say to us, "Fail, but fail fast."
Yep. Exactly. That's what
Experiment,
modern.
try
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
and once you be able to measure whether or not it's kind of meeting what you want to bring in terms like the value to the audience, but also is it worth the ROI?
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
then you figure out whether or not you want to keep doing it. Plus, with Anthony had moved into another role, and Sarah had left, and it was
No, I get
getting
it.
really, really hard to get a
Co-host.
co-anchor every week.
Yeah. Well, we can talk more about that too at some point, and just some interesting topics. And like I said, we're going to try and get some more guests to join us and talk about some of these subjects. So,
yeah.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Patch and switch in a week, and we're back in 2. So take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers.